My name is Travis Jones. I'm one of the application experts here at MLC CAD Systems, and today I'm going to be running you through an overview of a product called Driveworks. Driveworks is a really cool automation tool, and we want to show you how you might be able to take your designs from hours of design time or even days down to minutes. So our goal today is to kind of run you guys through an overview of Driveworks. Driveworks is a really powerful automation tool that might be able to automate some of your custom designs and help you guys really speed up your design process. So to start off with, what I want to talk about are some of the design scenarios that Driveworks is really good at handling. So what we've kind of found is that many of our customers have designs that they offer to their customers kind of as a standard product, but then they allow their customers to actually customize and choose different options specific to their needs. And so a good example you might see here would be this trailer scenario. We've got 4 different trailer types. Each of these trailers is kind of unique, but they all kind of have some common components that they share between the different designs. And we might offer each one of those trailers as an option for our customer, and then we would allow our customer to actually choose some different options amongst each of those designs and really tailor each trailer to their specific needs. Now, this is a really good way to offer your product to your customers. Customers find a lot of value in custom products, but those custom products can oftentimes present a lot of challenges to you within your organization. So what I want to do is talk about some of the challenges that a lot of our customers face when they're trying to offer custom products to their customers. So the first thing about custom orders or products that are configured to order is that they're expensive to design and manufacture. Engineers, we like to get paid well, and so if you're going to wrap up our time in trying to create these custom designs, it's going to increase the cost of those designs. Now, along with that, these custom designs can often be really difficult to quote in a timely manner. So when you take these custom orders from your customers, you have to kind of communicate with engineering and maybe purchasing to figure out what all is going to be involved with actually executing this custom order, and that just delays the timeline for getting a quote into your customer's hands. We also see that a lot of our customers run into product quality issues. If every one of your designs is a little bit different, sometimes there's some issues that pop up in manufacturing or design that can lead to delays in production, or they can just be expensive and really reduce the profit on those custom products. And then lastly, this is kind of one that hits home with a lot of the engineers, is repetitive tasks. So when you're working with kind of the same product over and over and you're tweaking the same design every day, it gets a little bit monotonous. A lot of engineers, they would prefer to really innovate and try to drive new designs and move a company forward. But when they're dealing with these custom orders, it's just kind of modifying the same file over and over every day. So what we want to show you is how Driveworks can help alleviate some of the challenges that you may have with your custom products. So today we've got kind of 3 things that we're going to take a look at. We're going to take a look at what Driveworks is. We're going to take a look at how Driveworks operates, and then we're going to kind of finish things off with talking about how exactly it might impact your company. So to start off with, Driveworks really has 2 main pieces of functionality or technology that really make it a powerful tool for a lot of companies. And the first is that Driveworks operates as a configurator. And what we mean by that is that Driveworks basically allows you to configure these custom products in a very intuitive manner. A lot of times custom products just have a really large number of possible options and configurations, and whether it's your sales team or your customers, sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming to look at all those possible options and figure out exactly what you need or exactly what each one of those different options will do for the final product. So Driveworks gives you a really intuitive interface where you can pick and choose all of these different options and really understand what each one of those options means for the final product. Now, it's not just enough to know exactly what you need and be able to configure that product and choose all your options. You need to take all that data and actually generate some documents for manufacturing. So that's where the second piece of technology comes in for Driveworks, and that's the ability to automate the creation of all your production data. So things like your SOLIDWORKS parts, assemblies, drawings, maybe even things like a quote or a bill of materials. Driveworks can take all that information that you've specified in the configuration phase, and it will push it out into your SOLIDWORKS files, and it's going to help you guys make all those parts, assemblies, and drawings. So together, that ability to know up front what exactly you need, but also automate the creation of all that complex data is what makes Driveworks a really powerful solution for a lot of our customers. So now that you kind of have an idea about what Driveworks may be, what I want to do now is show you actually how it operates. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how we could maybe configure a trailer like the one you see in this image. So to start off with, I just want to show you kind of what this model looks like in SOLIDWORKS. And here you can kind of see an example of this top level trailer assembly file. It's got several hundred parts. And if you had to make one of these semi-trailers every day, it might take you a little bit of time. You know, there's probably 300 or 400 parts. You would have to go into almost all of those to update some of their parameters to meet the customer specification. So what we're going to do here is show you how inside of Driveworks we can quickly configure one of these trailers and then have SOLIDWORKS build out all of the files. So what I've got here is a Driveworks project that allows me to configure those kind of 4 different trailer types. So you'll notice that it's a very intuitive, kind of image-oriented configuration tool. So I've got a really good idea about what each one of these trailers is, even though I don't really know a whole lot about trailers myself. So to start off with, I'm just going to pick the type of trailer that I want to configure, and I think we'll go ahead and choose a rigid box trailer. Now once I've chosen what type of trailer I want to configure, Driveworks is going to lead me through a series of steps that will allow me to choose all the necessary options for this trailer type. So to start off with, I can choose things like the height and length of my trailer. You'll actually see out there in the middle how I get that live update. I get a preview of what I'm actually configuring. And that's not just a 2D image, that's actually a 3D model. It's a very lightweight 3D model. So you don't actually need a workstation to be able to generate these 3D previews. And what that means is that while you're actually configuring your product, you get real-time feedback on what each one of those changes will actually do for that final product. So once I've configured the overall dimensions, I'm just going to hit next. And Driveworks is going to keep guiding me through all the steps until I've configured every parameter. So the next set of steps would be to choose what type of wheel I would like. I can choose on the back if I want a roller door, or maybe hinged doors. Up front, we've got some different feet that we can choose from. But ultimately, regardless of how much you know about trailers, I think anybody could sit down in this project and they could go through and they can configure each one of these options and understand what each one of these changes means. This is kind of what we refer to as guided selling. We're letting the software kind of guide us through the process of configuring our products. So once I've gotten through all of the different options, I've chosen my color. The next thing you'll see is that this particular project will actually return to me a little bit of a pricing summary. And this is another really big benefit of Driveworks, is the ability to quickly quote these complex custom products. So what we've done here in this project is we've built some rules so that based on all the selections we've previously made, it's going to go and figure out what it's going to cost for us to build this trailer. Now there's a couple different ways you can do this. You can actually store some of that pricing info directly in Driveworks, or if you want to take it to a slightly better or higher level, you can actually tie this into, say, like an ERP system. And so you could actually have Driveworks pull live pricing information from another database so that this quote is real time, it's up to date, and that pricing information is as accurate as possible. On the next page, what I want to show you guys is that even though we have not yet generated any SOLIDWORKS files, so the SOLIDWORKS files for this particular assembly do not exist yet, we've actually got a couple of different document types that Driveworks has already created for us. And the first one of these would be a bill of materials. So right off the bat, before we've ever generated any files, Driveworks was able to spit me out a bill of materials. It's got part numbers, it's got descriptions, and it's got a quantity for each item. And the reason it's able to do that is because Driveworks has the knowledge of what all is going to be involved in actually creating this final product. Along with being able to generate a really quick bill of materials, it can also generate me a quote file. So what we've got is basically a quote template. And whenever we actually run our Driveworks project and configure our trailer, it's able to generate this quote template. It puts in all the customer information. It pulls all that pricing from all the rules that we've built in. And here you can see it's added up all the line items. It's given me a unit price. It's showing me the total for each one. It's calculating the taxes and total price. And it's just automating one more step in our design process so that we can ensure consistency every time we have one of these custom orders. The last item that I'll show you as well is a cover letter. So Driveworks actually has the ability to email. So what we can do is we can create these email templates, and every time we go in and we configure a product for one of our customers, we could actually have it automatically send out an email. So in this case, it's just kind of a confirmation letter for that order, saying, hey, thank you for the order. We've received it. We're currently processing it. Here are some of the specifications about what exactly you ordered. But this template was automatically created, and it could be automatically emailed to our customer. Again, just ensuring that every time we have one of these orders, we're consistently delivering the same type of information to our customers. Now on the next page, what I could do is I could enter in a little bit of customer detail, but really what I want to point out here is that you could pull some of this information from, say, like a CRM system. So if you're keeping track of all your customers inside of another software, you could link Driveworks with that other software package. And so here it actually shows me all the different customers that we supply trailers to. And I could go in and pick out one of these customers, and it's going to automatically populate our key contact name. It's going to pull out the address. It's just going to automate the creation of some of this information for us automatically. Now, once we're done, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and hit submit here. And in a production environment, what would happen is it would automatically start generating all of the SOLIDWORKS documents. So it would start kicking off all of our parts, assemblies, and drawings that are necessary for creating that particular trailer. Now, in my particular environment, I don't have it set up to do that just because every time I showed somebody this demo, I'd have to wait couple of minutes for all those files to generate. But what we'll do is we'll actually circle back around at the end of the webinar, and while you guys are asking questions, I'll go ahead and kick off the generation of those files so that you can see it. So after you've gone through Driveworks and you've actually specified exactly what you want and you've hit submit, typically what would happen is you would start creating all of your documents. And so really what it starts with is all of your SOLIDWORKS parts and assemblies. So what Driveworks does is it takes all the information on that form that you filled out and it starts to drive it into things like dimensions, reference geometry, custom properties. It opens up each one of those model files and it starts to change the parameters that you've specified. Now once it's gone through and it's actually generated all of the parts and assemblies, it's going to start working on the drawings. And so what it can do with drawings, it creates all your SOLIDWORKS drawings. It can resize and rescale the views. It can reposition those views, drive annotations, dimensions. It can drive into your title block. And so the ultimate goal with Driveworks is to have it automatically create those drawings to where you don't even have to open up those drawings and modify them. They're ready to be sent to production so that your shop can start making those products. Not only can we create SOLIDWORKS drawing files, but we can create some drawing files in other formats. So a really common request would be PDFs. We can have Driveworks automatically kick out PDFs and send them to the appropriate location. So if we have a specific part of our shop floor that works off PDFs, we could actually have Driveworks go ahead and send a PDF into a specific folder that those guys work out of. We can also create DWGs or DXFs. So if you're working with a lot of sheet metal parts and you need to create some flat patterns that go to a plasma or a water jet, you could have it create those DXFs and DWGs for all of your sheet metal parts so that your guys are ready to go in the shop. They've got all the information they need. Now, Driveworks isn't just about creating SOLIDWORKS parts, assemblies, and drawings. I mean, that's really the bulk of our work, but there's a lot of other documents that go along with manufacturing these custom products. And we kind of took a look at some of those earlier, things like quotes and bills of material. But the cool thing about Driveworks is it can actually drive a few other file types. So Driveworks can actually customize and drive Excel documents, Word documents, PDFs, XML files, HTML files. There's a number of other document types that you guys can build templates for so that every time you go and you run your Driveworks project, it will start to create those documents with every single order. There's one other additional benefit that I want to talk about with Driveworks as well, and this has really been a big one as of late, and that is the ability to take your Driveworks project and make it accessible on the web. And the reason why this might be important is having a configurator accessible on the web might enable your sales team to remotely configure products. So say they're on a customer's site, they're doing a site visit, they could go in and right in front of the customer, they could just hop in a browser and they could configure a product alongside the customer remotely to just kind of enhance that buying experience. What we've also found is that over 90% of businesses and consumers now make researching products online a habit before they actually go in and purchase that product. Now, 90%, probably a little bit low. I think maybe that other 10% doesn't have an internet connection right now, because I don't know about you guys, but literally every single time I make a major purchase, I'm doing research on the internet before making that buying decision. So what we think is that it's really going to offer a big benefit to you and your customers if you have that configurator online where they can go and actually interact with it. Putting more information in front of your customers is really going to make their buying experience a lot more powerful. So Driveworks Live allows you to take that Driveworks project and actually embed it within your company's website. What I would encourage you guys to do is when you get a little bit of time, go check out driveworkslive.com. Driveworkslive.com is a website that Driveworks created where they host a number of different Driveworks Live projects. So like the first one you'll see here is this watch product where you can go in and you can actually configure a watch and jump around to all the different options just to see what that would look like. But they've broken it out into a bunch of different industries. So here you can see there's several different industry types. I would encourage you guys to go check out driveworkslive.com, jump through a bunch of these different live projects, interact with them on the website. What you'll find is that a lot of these Driveworks projects are quite different from one another. Driveworks is a very customizable software. Basically, you can tailor it to your exact needs, exactly what you want the interface to look like, what you want the outputs to be. So this may give you kind of a really good overview of the different possibilities for Driveworks. And it's also a good research tool to go and figure out if this might be a good application for your company. One other thing that I'll point out on driveworkslive.com that you'll really find beneficial is if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, they have several Driveworks projects that actually explain Driveworks. So you'll notice that they've kind of broken it down into the different sections. So a big one that a lot of our customers like to check out is the integration suite. So you can go check out how Driveworks is able to integrate with other packages, things like ERP, CRM, other software packages and databases that you guys might currently be using. Go check this out. It'll kind of show you how Driveworks is able to integrate with those other tools. All right. Now you've seen a little bit about how Driveworks operates. We've talked a little bit about what Driveworks is. What I want to talk about now is really how it'll impact your company and how it's impacted a lot of our current customers that are using Driveworks. So how can your team benefit? Well, the biggest one is quickly responding to customer needs. We kind of live in a world right now of instant gratification where people want information now, right? We don't have a lot of time. When we're interested in something, we want to be able to get that instant feedback. So a lot of times your customers may come to you and they're interested in one of your custom products, but it may take you guys a couple of days or even weeks to get them back an accurate quote. So being able to use Driveworks to quickly configure exactly what that customer needs and having Driveworks being able to generate that quote automatically allows you guys to take that quoting process from days or weeks down to just minutes. So being able to get that information back to your customer exactly when they need it. The next thing is reducing production delays caused by errors. Engineers, we like to be very accurate and thorough, but it's pretty much inevitable that at some point an engineer is going to make a mistake. Maybe it's just typing in a dimension slightly wrong or forgetting to update something on one of the drawings. But unfortunately, those errors, when they show up in production, they lead to lengthy delays and they're costly as far as the overhead for that particular project. So automating some of these tasks in Driveworks will ensure consistency. It's going to ensure that you're not going to run into errors in production. And hopefully it just means that, when you guarantee a deliverable to your customer, you're able to meet that deliverable accurately every time. You're also going to be able to reduce the cost for your custom products. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but engineers, their time is expensive. So when you're creating these custom products, their engineers are having to go through and basically update all the models, and that's going to take a lot of time, and you have to pay those engineers. So being able to automate a lot of that process is going to kind of bring down the cost of those custom designs. Hopefully that'll bring them a little bit close to your standard designs, but it might even increase the profit that you guys are making off these custom designs as well. Also, this is a big one for me as an engineer, allowing engineers to innovate. I think every engineer, when they went to school, kind of their idea was that they would go in and they would actually be innovating new products and maybe gaining some patents and helping to drive companies into the future. But with custom products being a big thing nowadays, a lot of engineers just spend their time doing the same tasks over and over, just updating the same models every time we get a custom order. So what I like to say is that companies should allow Driveworks to automate these custom products, and that would free up their engineers for being able to innovate and drive that company into the future with new and better products. And then the last one I've got for you here is enable your customers to easily configure and view your products in 3D on any device. I think this is really important. We're seeing this a lot these days in the marketplace. If you've gone to any car manufacturer's website, like if you go to Ford's website, they have like that build and price option for all of their vehicles. So you can go in and you can build a brand new F-150. You can choose all your different options. You can get a price for that particular vehicle. Nike is doing the same thing right now. So if you go to Nike's website, you can go in and choose different colors and patterns for your shoes. And a big one right now that's actually using Driveworks is Gillette. Gillette, the razor company, has a site called razormaker.com. And what they're using Driveworks for is they allow you to go in and configure your own razor. So you can actually customize the handle as far as the color, the material, what pattern it is. You can get custom text written into that handle. And that's all done through Driveworks. So you guys can actually check that out. It's razormaker.com. What you can do is you can go customize, your own razor. And then they will actually take that information. They 3D print the razor handle, attach it to a razor head, and they ship it out to you. You get your own customized razor. So this is a big market trend these days, is being able to take that information and put it in front of your customers where they can easily interact with your products. But overall, the way I like to think of it is when your products are easy to understand and easy to buy, that makes them really easy to sell, right? When your customers fully understand your product and that buying process is easy, it makes it just a lot easier for you guys to sell your products. Now, there are 3 different products for Driveworks. We're not going to get into too much of the details about each one, but the first product that Driveworks offers is Driveworks Express. And I really encourage you guys to check out Driveworks Express. It's actually free, and it's included in every single seat of SolidWorks that's on subscription. So if you guys have SolidWorks right now in an active subscription service, you already have Driveworks. Now, Driveworks Express is a little bit more simple than what you've seen today. It doesn't have all the fancy pictures and forms that you can customize or 3D previews, but it runs right inside of SolidWorks, and it really quickly allows you guys to go in and maybe automate the design of a sub-assembly or maybe a simple top-level assembly. Pick out something that you have to do a lot and just try and automate that with Driveworks Express. See what you can do to save yourself a little bit of time. The next solution is Driveworks Solo. Driveworks Solo kind of takes Driveworks Express and gives you some additional options for customizing forms. It starts to give you some of that ability to quote products a little bit easier. And overall, it gives you a little bit more function as far as some of the rules that you write as well. Now, Driveworks Solo does have a 30-day trial. What's neat about that for you guys is you actually don't even have to request it from a reseller. If you want a 30-day trial of Driveworks Solo, you can actually go to driveworks.co.uk. That's the Driveworks website. And you can actually request a 30-day trial of Driveworks Solo yourself. So what I would recommend is that you start out with Driveworks Express, go ahead and create a project, start to do a little bit of automation, and once you have that project up and running, go ahead and request a Driveworks Solo 30-day trial. You can take that Driveworks Express product and you can actually upscale it into Driveworks Solo, and that'll give you guys kind of a full 30 days to play around with a project that's kind of already up and running, add some additional functionality, and see if it may be a really good fit for you. And from there, you can go on to buying a license if you need to. Now, the last solution is Driveworks Pro. Driveworks Pro is kind of an enterprise-wide solution. It's kind of a large-scale Driveworks solution, and that's really what you're going to look for when you're starting to involve your sales team. So if you want your sales guys to be able to access the configurator and go in and configure your products, or if you want to take your Driveworks project and put it on the web, that's when we're going to start looking at Driveworks Pro. But all of these different solutions, you can upgrade from one to the other. If you make a project in Express, you can actually take it all the way up to Driveworks Pro if you want to. It's a really, really seamless path to just growing the software solution as your needs require. So what I've got for you guys are a couple of action items, and I really want you guys to take action on this because, trust me, I think this is a really, really big opportunity for a lot of companies to be able to automate and do more with their current workforce. So try out Driveworks Express or Solo for free. Remember, Driveworks Express is already inside of SolidWorks if you currently own SolidWorks. Solo, you can go request a trial, or if you need help requesting one of those trials, you can contact us. I encourage you to explore driveworkslive.com. So go check out Driveworks Live, run through several of those projects, maybe share them within your organization. If you're trying to get buy-in from other people within your organization, that's a good resource to be able to show them exactly what Driveworks can do. So check out driveworkslive.com, and then if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us. You can always email me. I'm one of the Driveworks experts here. I'm always happy to talk with you guys about Driveworks, see if it may be a good fit for your organization, and just kind of discuss those possibilities. So I definitely encourage you guys to take action on this and try Driveworks out for yourself. So what I want to do now, I promised you guys that I would actually show you kind of what Driveworks does when it generates all of the models, is I'm going to go jump into SolidWorks, And I'm going to tell Driveworks to actually start generating that trailer that we configured together. So I'm just going to go in and select that particular trailer assembly. And what you're going to see here is that it's going to start pulling up each one of those part files, and it's going to start modifying them as necessary. So it's going to start changing dimensions, updating custom properties. On some of these, it'll start changing the color of the model. And then once it's done, it's going to start to build the assembly with all of those different options. And then it'll finally generate all of our drawings and documents as well. So it'll actually run for probably 3 to 4 minutes. So it said, can customers' login be tied to any discounts set for them? Yeah, so basically I think the direction for this question basically says, if your customer were to go in and log into Driveworks, so if you gave them their own login, could you tie discounts to their login? And that is absolutely a possibility. So every user in Driveworks, or however many users you create in Driveworks, each user has their own login. And you can create a rule so that when somebody goes and they actually log in, it might tailor that interface a little bit. So you could just have like a pricing discount, like 5% or 10% or whatever it is, tied to their login. So whenever they log in, they actually see their own custom pricing. It's a really, really good way to do it. I've got one that says, can Driveworks Express also generate drawings, or is that only a higher package? So Driveworks Express can generate drawings. Now, the difference between Driveworks Express and, say, Driveworks Solo when it comes to actually generating drawings is that with Driveworks Express, you kind of have like a master drawing template, and all Driveworks does is just kind of swap out the models. You don't have control over like hiding or showing certain annotations within the drawing itself. When you get to Driveworks Solo, what you can do is you can actually start to write rules for the actual drawing file. So rather than just saying generate this file, you can start to pick out different dimensions, annotations, tables, and you can start to drive those within the actual output of the file. The other thing that you get with Solo over Express as far as drawings is Solo would allow you to actually generate multiple drawings for the same model. So if I have one part that needs multiple drawing sets, Driveworks Solo would allow me to do that. Whereas Driveworks Express, for every single model within your project, you can only generate one drawing file. See another question that says, what are prerequisites for a successful implementation? So that's a really good question. So implementations of Driveworks, they basically require a little bit of setup work. And so there's kind of two ways that some customers will approach this. They'll either ask for MLC to deliver kind of a turnkey project that's basically ready to go out of the box. Or what we kind of encourage is most of our customers, we want you guys to take ownership of this. And so typically for a successful Driveworks implementation, especially when you start dealing with Solo or Pro, we like to start you out with training. Just kind of make sure that you've got all the basics down, the fundamentals, just like with SolidWorks. So we actually offer training for Solo and for Driveworks Pro. So we come on site, we work with you guys, we lead you through training. And then we also typically schedule service days with a lot of our customers. So what we'll let you do is purchase like a day of service. So you'll get off and running with your project after the training. And then maybe a month or so down the road, you might be ready to take your project to the next level. What you can do is have us come on site again. We'll kind of sit down with you, evaluate your product, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, a successful implementation, it really starts with just planning, deciding exactly what you want, what your goals are, what your immediate needs are, kind of doing everything as like a step-by-step or modular approach to where you don't necessarily automate everything all at once up front. You start with kind of your most immediate need, automate that little piece, and then just keep adding additional automation as you go. Can you integrate it into SAP? So the answer to that is yes, you can integrate it into SAP. You can integrate Driveworks into a lot of different solutions just because there are several different ways to do it. Kind of the most basic way is that we can integrate directly into SQL because Driveworks can actually read and write to other SQL databases. So if you have data in SQL, we can actually go find that data, extract it, and use it inside of our Driveworks project. We can also pass XML data, or we can pass other data through like an ODBC connection. So yeah, there's kind of several different ways to do that. Typically, if you have specific requirements for integration, we'll sit down with you ahead of time. We'll figure out what it is that you're looking to integrate. We may even bring in Driveworks corporate, just because they do some of these projects all over the world and they've seen a lot of integrations. But yeah, we can pretty much integrate into the majority of software packages out there. All good questions. Cool. So our product finished up, so it generated that model. took us 3 or 4 minutes to generate that, but if you imagine trying to update all 400 or so of those parts, it might have taken quite a bit of time. I did see one more question that I may have missed, and it was, what is the average implementation time? That really kind of depends. There's a lot of different factors that go into implementation time. It really just depends on what your products are like and how far you want to take that automation. For like Driveworks Solo and Pro, I would say your implementation time could be as little as a week or two, but it could be all the way up to several months. It just depends on how complex your product is, how much are we trying to automate, how much are we trying to integrate. So yeah, it really just can vary pretty widely depending on your needs. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate all the questions. Again, if there's anything that we missed or you think of later, definitely let us know. You've got my email address. You've got our contact info. We'll send you guys out a recording of the webinar later. I definitely appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to sit down and go over Driveworks with us. Hopefully it offers a really good solution to a lot of you as far as quoting your custom products. And we look forward to talking with you guys about Driveworks in the future. So thanks again.